Reddit has spoken. YouTubers have spoken. The Steam Machine won't be cheap. It'll cost $700-800. Because Valve aren't a charity, they're not going to subsidise this thing. If they price it too cheaply, then it'll be bought by people who don't want to use Steam, and so on. Well, I disagree. As in, I disagree about the price. I think it's going to be priced very reasonably. Now, this has kept me up all night thinking about it, so I thought I'd make a video discussing my thoughts. So the reason I think they're keeping it under wraps is two main reasons. Firstly, there's an unstable situation in America with regards to tariffs, which can dictate the cost of building a fully fledged PC such as the Steam Machine. So it makes more sense to wait until closer to the product's release before announcing how much it will cost, especially with America being such a large potential market for a device like this. And secondly, we're in the midst of an AI boom, and companies like Microsoft and Google are buying as many graphics cards, RAM sticks, storage devices as they can and are chucking them at large servers that are being used to train AI models. So that results in shortages and drives the price of components up across the board. So again, it makes more sense to wait until nearer the product's release before pricing it, just in case everything doubles by then. But who knows? Maybe the bubble will burst and we'll find the computer market flooded with cheap components and the prices will go down. Though that seems very unlikely, doesn't it? So in short, the reason I think Valve is holding off announcing the price for the Steam Machine is uncertainty. But uncertainty is a great opportunity, and I think Valve knows this. If they can provide an affordable, capable gaming machine for the masses. We all know they manufactured COVID to get everybody off sick to be able to play Half-Life Alyx upon release. So who knows what else Valve is capable of? That being said, I think they do have the cost of some of the Steam Machine's components locked down already. Its processor and graphics cards are semi-custom designs, and they've likely reached agreements already with AMD regarding stock and pricing. Though that still leaves other components like RAM and the storage components up in the air. Something a lot of you have posted is that they won't price it too cheaply because otherwise businesses will buy up thousands of them. Oh no, what a problem for Valve. Too much demand. Valve will risk bankruptcy if they sell below cost. Well, we know they're at no risk of that. And also, I've never said they'll sell it below cost, merely at cost. Or maybe at cost plus $5 so they make a profit. I think all this stems back to something Linus said about a week ago, which everybody is now regurgitating as fact. But it isn't something I'm too concerned about, and I'm sure Valve isn't too worried about it either. If they sold the Steam Machine for something ridiculous like £200, then sure, it would disrupt the market, undercutting all other alternatives. But the Steam Machine, it won't be that cheap. I mean, just look at the Steam Deck. In my opinion, that was very aggressively priced. Even Valve themselves said that the low price was painful but critical, so why would the Steam Machine's pricing be any different? As it was, the Steam Deck undercut the price of alternatives like laptops and low-cost gaming PCs, and even that wasn't enough to result in a rush from companies buying up huge reserves of the Steam Deck, and at as little as £350, that product certainly cost less than the Steam Machine is going to. So how much will this thing cost? I've said before, I'd be very happy with £500. I think it's tight but manageable, just the way I like it. But for now, let's just look at the maximum pricing they could charge for this device. And for that, I'm going to look at other setups of roughly the same performance. So the Steam Machine's graphics card is a semi-custom RDNA 3 graphics card with 28 compute units. That's pretty much a Radeon 7600M, which is roughly equivalent to a mobile variant of the RTX 4060. I regularly find deals on slightly less powerful RTX 4050 laptops, ranging between £600 and £700, and just the other day I found this. A laptop with an RTX 4060 and a processor that's got more cores and with a higher power envelope than the Steam Machines will have, and that was for £680. And it's got a screen and portability to boot, features that the Steam Machine's bulkier desktop form factor lacks. If the Steam Machine sells for the same price as a product like this, then it's at a disadvantage, and it will be banking on Valve's pre-installed software and unknowns like its build quality to try and win people over, and possibly availability. So I'm going to say, if the Steam Machine isn't £500, then it should be less than $650 for the base 512GB unit. Even just using off-the-shelf components, you can get something more powerful and with more VRAM than the Steam Machine for just over £600. And I really think a large company like Valve with immense buying power will be able to get the CPU and GPU components for less than the £338 that I'd have to spend for this setup here. Hence why, in the current climate, I reckon that Valve could construct and sell a Steam Machine for as little as £500. But will Valve sell it at cost? I think they will. because the Steam Machine isn't going after people who want more than the basics. Everybody looking at it and being like, oh, if only it had more VRAM, or a faster graphics card, or better processor. Congratulations! Your requests have inflated the cost of the device so much that it's now in direct competition with all sorts of other laptop and desktop alternatives. And the sort of people requesting that extra stuff aren't in the market for a Steam Machine in the first place. They'd be much better suited to having a custom-built design, better catered to their specific needs. The Steam Machine is nothing special. It targets the absolute middle of the road in terms of Steam hardware survey results, so if it doesn't do that price effectively, then why even bother? So I really see the Steam Machine serving as a simple, well-rounded option for people who just want something that works and for an affordable price. So let's compare it with consoles. I actually think the Steam Machine will be similar in performance to the PS5, which, thanks to its also semi-custom design and Sony's immense buying power, managed to be released 5 years ago for $400. And as much as the market has stagnated since then, and inflation and all that, progress has still been made, and I don't see why the Steam Machine would have to cost that much more than the PS5 did at release. But consoles sell at a loss because they hope to make their returns on the games being sold for them. Yeah, and you think Valve's any different? They own Steam! It's called the Steam Machine, for God's sake. Even if not every Steam Machine sold makes a sale on Steam, you'd have to be an idiot not to see the added value of getting people into the Steam ecosystem and buying a Steam Machine. It's in Valve's best interest to make the Steam Machine cheap enough to be appealing to the casual market that would love an alternative to the currently offered consoles and the costly ecosystems. And it's also the solution to another untapped market. People such as myself who already have a very powerful gaming PC but would still benefit from an affordable living room setup like the Steam Machine is promising to provide. I didn't need the Steam Deck. Didn't think I was going to get one, but when it was announced at such an attractive price and offered something my bulky, powerful gaming machine didn't, I still saw value to me getting one. So I'm not saying that Valve should sell the Steam Machine at a loss, merely at cost, which is sustainable and furthers Valve's master plan of gaming world domination. Of course, they've announced more than just the Steam Machine. They've also announced the controller and the Steam Frame, the latter of which will be most directly comparable to Meta's Oculus Quest headsets, both in terms of functionality and their reasons for existing. I don't know how much it costs Meta to make those Oculus headsets, but it's clear it was their plan to undercut everybody else in order to gain a monopoly in the VR space. Unlucky for them, Valve exists. So I wouldn't be surprised if Meta were selling these things at a loss, and it's been clear from the get-go that they've got less to offer than Valve does even in their current state, let alone what might be around the corner. Look, I'm just going to go and say it. I think Valve's master plan is to sell the Steam Machine, Steam Frame, and Half-Life 3 for the cost of the Valve Index. They sold Half-Life 2 to get people onto Steam. They sold Half-Life Alyx to get people buying the Valve Index. 6 years have passed since that game's release. You think they'd pass up this opportunity to not bundle all these new things together with some must-have product? It's just how Valve has operated in the past. Oh, there's the orange box as well. That got people into like Team Fortress 2 and stuff. I'm putting myself in a risky position here. Firstly, from making this video without sleeping, but also by being wildly hopeful about how cheap the Steam Machine will be. I'm banking on Valve being able to count to 3 here, and with their flagship series, no less. But if there was ever a time and place for the stars to align, it's now. Please, Valve, don't make me look like an idiot. I don't ask for much. Just release Half-Life 3. Please.